This beautiful woman is named Jarmecca Yvonne Nikki Whitehead. She was born on April 18th of 1975. Now, when she was 17, she got pregnant with identical twin girls and gave birth after her 18th birthday. Those twin girls, who are identical, are named Jasmiyah Kaneesha and Tasmiyah Janeesha Whitehead, born on November 27th of 1993. This is Linda Whitehead. This is Nikki's mother. She was actually serving time in prison when Nikki was born. But because she was serving time and Nikki was born in prison, she was handed over to be raised by Della Frazier, who is Linda's mother. This is Della Frazier. She is Linda Whitehead's mother, Nikki Whitehead's grandmother, and Jazz and Taz's great-grandmother. She is largely responsible for not single-handedly only raising Nikki, but also Jazz and Taz. On January 13th of 2010, Jazz and Taz was coming home from school and found their mother, Nikki, deceased in the bathroom of her Conyers, Georgia townhome in Bridle Ridge Walk. Her daughters ran outside and happened to see a cop who they flagged down after school, who came inside, finding their mother having had been bludgeoned to death. In the year 2000, Nikki met 55-year-old truck driver named Robert Head. She moved in with him. This is the same exact townhome that she would be found deceased in 10 years later. Now, Jazz and Taz were not only very spoiled because they're identical twin beautiful girls, but they were also honor roll and Girl Scouts for the majority of their youth. Now, the girls were largely raised by Della Frazier and her longtime husband, who are the parents of Linda Whitehead and the grandparents of Nikki Whitehead. But Della and Linda had largely, for many years, been estranged, the same way that Linda and Nikki had largely been estranged. In 2007, when the twins were only 13 years old, Nikki would go to ask the court for custody, which she was granted from the girls' great-grandmother. But this is where a lot of problems started to arise because Nikki and her twin daughters would soon find themselves clashing nearly every day. Della stated that the girls saw their mother's attempt to suddenly come in their life, take over custody, and control them as very hypocritical, as she had a history of neglecting them, of drug use, of alcohol use. These clashes escalated to physical altercations, which resulted in not only juvenile court, mandated counseling, and social worker involvement. Della Frazier was soon given custody of the twin girls again. But on January 5th of 2010, a court judge had ordered that the twins go back to their mother and do a 14-day, 2-week trial live-in period. Nikki would be found unalived only 8 days later in the morning of January 13th of 2010. Nikki had been bludgeoned with a vase, poked over 80 times, including 14 to the back of her neck, which partially decapped and also severed her spinal cord. Nikki was found with multiple lacerations, multiple defensive wounds, and even a bite mark on her arm. Nikki's body was also found to have hair embedded into her teeth. Nikki's boyfriend, Robert Head, was cleared by DNA and evidence 4 months later. But as it would turn out, the twins both had bite marks on them as well.
You walked in and what happened?
To the kitchen, and I seen the blood all in there on the floor. And I went in there and I seen my grandma, my mama.
Comforting each other and even sharing a kiss.
May 21st, 2010, the twins were arrested. Jazz and Taz originally pled not guilty. But after negotiations In a plea agreement, each twin pled guilty to the lesser charge of voluntary manslaughter from first degree in 2014. They were only sentenced to 30 years. But a part of that plea was they had to tell the truth about what really happened and what they really did.
I picked up a knife and I stabbed her.
Where did you stab her?
I think I stabbed her in the stomach. It was multiple times. I think I had her hands, I guess her feet. Kind of like a joint effort. She was heavy. We just put it in. The water was turned on.
At some point in time, you did realize that morning your mom was dead.
Yeah.
Now, for those 4 months that authorities were waiting for the DNA evidence to come back to tell them definitively if the twins were involved or not, they were obviously on their best behavior, especially when it came to school. But of course, they're identical twins. And identical twins not only share the same DNA, they also share fingerprints. During those 4 months, the girls tried everything to act normal and act like they did not partake in their mom's unaliving. They even demanded that Della Frazier, their great-grandmother, pay for security for them to attend their mother's funeral services, which was not only odd, but alarming. If Jazz and Taz are not paroled, they will be released in 2040 after serving 30 years. And they will be in their 40s, but they still can live a very long life. Their great-grandmother is in her 90s. And Della still supports the girls to this very day. She attends counseling sessions, family visitation, and any special ceremonies that they may partake in while serving their 30-year sentence. She's there. Now, in 2016, both girls did end up graduating. Jazz got her high school diploma and graduated, and Taz earned her GED. This is when Jazz graduated with her high school diploma. She was also a valedictorian, and this is her great-grandmother, Della, supporting her. She attended the ceremony at the prison, where she also did a speech in front of all of the other prison inmates who had also graduated getting their high school diploma. So even though the girls knew exactly what they had done and went on to hide and lie about what they had done for 4 months, their mother, Nikki, did not go down without a fight. And she fought for her life hard against her own identical twin daughters.
I'm not going down for something I did not do. Please find a murder weapon and then get real person. For real. What the waiting for? They having coffee and donuts and having a good jolly.
Not everybody in Nikki's life and family was so quick to just chalk it up to, oh, well, teenagers make mistakes and people make mistakes and forgiveness is real and forgiveness is something we owe everybody all the time forever, right? No, because Nikki's best friend, Yuka Harris, wrote a book about her best friend, The Untold Story of Nikki Whitehead, Torn to Pieces, which is about her best friend being unalived by her own twin 16-year-old daughters. Just because they did not like the boundaries and the rules that their mom set in place for them. But I highly suggest you read this book. You can purchase it right now on Amazon. Now, I'm far from perfect, and I'm not one to say who is deserving and not deserving of forgiveness. But when you commit a crime like unaliving somebody, there is no coming back from that because you cannot fix that. You cannot make it right and make amends and bring that life back. That is why it is not only a crime, it is a sin in the eyes of God and man. And I do not fault Della, their great-grandmother, for having raised them and having raised Nikki and loving them and still supporting them. But at the same time, they unalived their own mother, the woman who gave life and birth to them, in a brutal, brutal way. Rest in peace, Nikki Whitehead. I hope that your soul's at ease.